Hello everyone, and welcome to Starlite Astronaut Rescue, one of the most underwhelming and misrepresentative titles that I have seen in quite some time. According to all of the information displayed here and on the Steam page, which was released today, the 27th of January 2014, it doesn't say anything about being an alpha or a beta or basically anything of the sort. It promises some neat things, like experiencing the thrill of standing in the boots of a future astronaut on Mars in the world of Starlite, I quote. It promises things like advanced biosuit-style spacesuits by MIT, realistic locomotion, realistic physics for Mars gravity. All of those, in conjunction with the names NASA, University of California, Irvine, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, led me to be excited about this product. It is, by the way, also available on mobile platforms, at least iOS. I don't know about Android. But as you can see, it uses the dual thumbstick style controls. I can't tell based on my research whether this is a port of the iOS version or the iOS version is a port of this, but it certainly looks, based on things like this screen right here, that this is a port of the iOS version. And not a very good one at that. I apologize if I have to keep jerking the mouse around like this, but in windowed and full screen mode, it doesn't capture the mouse within the window, which is absolutely horrible, and it's waiting for me to do some things before tutorialing. So, right off the bat, we have issues. The mouse controls are rather dumb. The mouse can go out of the borders of the window, and it still moves, which is fine, but there's some sort of acceleration going on, so I have to keep twitching the mouse over to make it do what I want. Twitching to the left so I can move smoothly to the right and overcome acceleration. So here we go. We can jump, which is kind of nice. The gravity effect is cool. And this guy's going to start talking.
Hello, Commander. Well, that Charlie situation is locked down. I simply said, yeah, you could keep doing that. Or if you want to find out where our solar array crashed on Deimos, we could use that instead. He calmed down right after that.
Yeah.
Anyway, the next time he grabs a chimera, he'll check the airlock seal.
Classic Charlie.
Commander, hold up a second. Look at this. Scanners are catching a magnetic field anomaly somewhere near here.
Oh dear.
Let's move out there and take some readings. Grab the field tent out of the locker and we'll set it up outside.
I would love to, but I have to... Oh wait, now I can click on the window and capture the mouse for an instant until I have to click on some things. Okay, there we go. Now my mouse is captured properly.
Okay, are you ready? Let's move out.
Some kind of neat robots.
I'm ready too. Pop the hatch, please.
Okay-ish screen. Some sort of workbench. Can't really move around too much. Can't open the doors. You're like, what, 6 feet? 2 meters? Yeah. You're 6 feet-ish from this control. You can get it yourself. So now that our mouse is properly captured...
Oh, man, this thing is heavy. Back on Earth, I wouldn't even be able to lift this thing.
Movement's a little easier. Hey guys, we're still on Mars. We can jump over him, stuff like that. We're theoretically carrying a huge thing, but we're not affected by it too much.
This seems like a good spot. Let's drop the tent over there.
The Minerva is pretty nice. I will give them that. The craft in this game are pretty neat. Get a nice view there. You can go under some things, but clipping and invisible walls is a bit of an issue. Like, I can now no longer move forward, my vision gets blurry for some reason, and I have to backtrack simply because they don't want me to go between those two tires that I can obviously fit between. Now, as I said, on the iOS version, it does use the dual thumbstick touch type controls, which are horrendous. I don't like them in any game.
Perfect. Now I'll activate the power snake. Oh, there it goes. I never get tired of watching these.
That is pretty neat. So there it goes. I can't jump on top of the tent when it's deflated because then it couldn't inflate.
Mayday, this is Vega 7, 1600 ERF, November 1600, Echo Romeo Foxtrot. I'm attempting an emergency landing. I have medical supplies for FOMO 7.
Did you hear that? Commander, look.
I can clip through my teammate there. He hits a clipping plane, disappears, and is removed from reality. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I get some major tearing issues on this bit with the door frame and such. I think the last time I tried to record this I couldn't see it on the video. But, as I was saying, in the iOS version it uses the dual thumbstick controls, so this bit is difficult, getting through a damn door. But let's open comms. The guy that is running the story isn't going to tell us to do this, we just follow on-screen prompts.
From that Vega shuttle. Copy Vega 7, please repeat, are you okay?
Copy, Minerva crew. Oxygen levels are running low. The navigation systems are offline. I feel alright, a bit stunned. Requesting immediate medical evacuation.
Commander, he needs help. If he's running off standard emergency air reserves, we don't have much time. I have a signal. We can triangulate his position. I'll call for a medevac. We'll need to craft a radiometer to locate his landing site.
A radiometer. Okay, well, clicking that one thing appears to be the only reason we set up this tent. Why we couldn't just put one of those in the shuttle, or the landing craft, is beyond me. Also, we saw him disappear that way. We heard the crash pretty soon. He's probably within walking distance. If there weren't an invisible wall, we could probably go rescue him ourselves. As you may have also noticed, in the upper left there is a group of 4 controls. The one at the top, when you actually have your mouse cursor, brings up the help, the arrow makes the whole group disappear, and the other ones don't do anything. Until you get to the crafting, in which case the briefcase lights up. So, as I was saying, this guy that progressed the story before isn't going to tell us how to do anything or what to do or anything of the sort. We have to follow on-screen prompts, which is a horrendous way to move through your story. I dislike it quite a lot. And apparently I'm telekinetic. I have no arms, no body. If I look down, I see nothing. I'll give them that one because hardly anybody puts your body in the game. But just floating things towards you is lazy. No arm. See, I could deal with things disappearing when you click on them. That's fine, everybody does that. I could deal with an arm reaching out and grabbing things. That would be awesome. We get neither of those. You get somewhere in between. And in a couple of years, when this all updates, we'll be able to do stuff. So, this is a Fairly simple crafting interface. You touch and drag to move items, create 2 radios by combining items. Now you might think, oh, let's combine these 2 display meters, but no, it doesn't give you anything. How silly. You have to use these, the spool of wire, which for some reason gives you a radio. And as soon as it updates like 20 objectives, we'll be able to do some more things.
Now, in order to track the downed astronaut, we'll need to know what signal frequency he's broadcasting at. We can then calculate wavelength using the speed of light. The wavelength is directly proportional to the length of the antenna we will use to triangulate his position.
And this is the science-based puzzle sort of thing that they kind of bank on. It's part of their core mechanic. They call it hands-on science inquiry and problem solving in mathematics, physics, and engineering. But basically it's just telling you, go solve this puzzle using scientific notation. If you've gotten out of high school, you can probably do this already. It doesn't have to do any of that explanation.
We're receiving a new signal.
Which makes me think, of course, that the game is made for children, which may be the case. But you can click and hold on some of these to get descriptions of the equation. Speed of light over frequency, speed of light in meters per second, frequency in hertz, will give us the length of each wave of the incoming transmission. So we simply go over to the calculator and do 3 times 10 to the 8th divided by 286 and some more zeros, 2.86 times 10 to the 8th. And then we do something to get that number over there. Since it's a touch interface, you would think, oh, maybe I need to click on it or drag something over there. But no, since this is the PC port of an iOS game, or is that a PC game that got ported? Oh, well, you just type in 105.
Good job, but the signal appears to be changing. We'll need to recalculate.
Nothing tells you to type that.
We're receiving a new signal.
You just have to figure it out. It took me about 5 minutes before I started randomly pressing buttons to find out that just typing on the keyboard will put the numbers in there. I don't know if that reflects badly on me or the game, but there you go. So now that we know what to do, we just do this a couple more times. 0.44.
Good job, but the signal appears to be changing. We'll need to recalculate.
I'm not sure why this signal keeps changing,
We're receiving a new signal.
or why we apparently know exactly how many times it's going to change. But on the iOS device, you just click this box, the keyboard pops up, you know exactly what to do. Not difficult at all.
We have the data we need. We can now build antennas to triangulate his position.
Except we're not going to actually do that. We're going to assume that they get built and install them. We don't actually have to install them. They just sort of hover over the bodies of the robots. I guess we invoke magnetism or something. Some sort of science magic. And for some reason, we get a load screen. And now we're in robot drivey mode, which is kinda cool. This is awkward on the iOS devices, but it's not too bad on a keyboard mouse. I will take this opportunity to state that I absolutely despise dual thumbstick touch controls. I haven't found anything that they work very well on. Maybe that's just my lack of dexterity or whatever, but I just can't do it. So, instead of figuring out where these things need to be, they just tell us here, go put the robots there. And once we get to the target, he'll pop up his radio, and we get a scatter wave of particles or something. As we move away from the target, it gets darker towards red, and as we get closer, it gets more defined and yellow and finally green. And well defined. So that's the, what did they call it? Advanced Robotic Rover Navigation. It's the same as your character movement and navigation, basically. Except when you get to the end, you have to move a radio around. I don't know that I would call it particularly advanced. RC car games have been doing this for quite some time. Other than the Mars physics, and I'm sure there's some RC car games that do that too. Oh, if you want to go out and explore the world, like those hills over there, or where the ship crashed, or whatever, you're gonna have a bad time, because there are invisible walls very, very close to the Minerva. In fact, they're right over there. You couldn't even crest that hill. So, you hear the music coming in. It's getting progressively louder, which is why I initially quieted it. It's going to get quite loud by the end. I'm not sure whether that's intentional. So, let's see, move a bit to the left. There we go. And we learned that if you move some robots that look weird and have some antennas on them around where something might be, you can triangulate its position. Although, you can't really. They didn't explain triangulation very well at all.
Commander. I'm calling the medevac. I'll meet you on site.
As the camera zooms, clipping through everything solid in the map, we go to our third-person view, where our camera does some weird stuff. I've gotten it to go behind the wall a couple of times. And jumping, as you can see, is moving up a bit while continuing to run. I believe that the page touted... where was it? Realistic locomotion. I don't know anybody that locomotes like that. So, anyway, that's of little importance. Let's go flag down the medevac. How are we going to do that? With a big reflector saying, here we are, or waving at it? Nope. We are going to flag down a medevac by standing with one arm placed valiantly on our hip, looking in a completely different direction than the medevac. So, now that we're back in control, let's realistically locomotive ourselves over there by running through the air. I assume that the gravity is correct. I'll give them that one for free. But a lot of these things have horrendous bounding boxes. We cannot walk under this at all. And in fact, if we get too close to it, we're just blocked. It has a couple feet of bounding box around basically everything. So, let's just go over here into the target zone. Which causes the medevac to go zoom by the downed place, for some reason circling, even though we know exactly where it is. or I guess duoangulating, since we only were presented with 2 angles. The ship, the Minerva, is theoretically the 3rd one. We don't appear to be in the medevac, even though we went to it. And there's the guy. He was just taking a nap.
Am I glad to see you? And so will the kids getting these supplies. Thank you, Commander.
The subtitles are automatically on. They don't have an option anywhere. The options for this game are the standard Unity front ends, or configuration front ends before the actual game pops up. It allows you to change the resolution, some graphics quality from fastest to normal to beautiful. This is beautiful. I beg to differ, but that's what it says. And the key bindings for the 7 buttons in the game, 4 of which are movement, 1 of which, other than the movement, is necessary for completing the game. You can change those for keyboard, mouse, and joystick, although it's a bit awkward to do so. Anyway, we've finished. We can claim our badge if we want. We're not going to. It's kind of a neat looking badge. So, there's Dr. Robert Starr and Dr. Daniel Laughlin of the NSA, or of NASA, sorry. As they said, the biosuit design is by Professor Dava Newman, or Dava Newman of MIT, inventor. Which is just the suit that everybody wears. It's not really functionally relevant. It doesn't really enter into play at all. None of these things that are attached to named organizations matter. They have a couple of programmers, some modelers, a sketch artist, scientific writer, an intern, and some business people. It looks like they focus on the programmers and modelers, which I feel does some others an injustice unless those programmers and modelers also did the sounds and voice acting. Because the music and the voice acting are the best parts of this. Its graphics are subpar. Its gameplay is simplistic, linear, and frankly a little dumb. They don't particularly present science, inquiry, and problem solving. They tell you how to solve problems. They don't teach you how to solve problems. It's not problem solving. It's, we're going to tell you what to click next, except for these math things that you should know if you're out of high school. It has issues with its world, its clipping planes and bounding boxes. Its locomotion animations are a bit awkward. There's just not that much to it. It's not an educational game. As I said at the beginning, there is nothing that states that this is not a complete product. This is theoretically a game. They did say it's a single-player 20-minute mini-adventure, but that doesn't excuse it from essentially being an extreme pre-alpha of Starlite Astronaut Academy, the multiplayer online game. If this is what we can expect in terms of gameplay from the multiplayer online game, then I would say that we should probably skip it, unless we're in the 7 to 14-year-old demographic. They're going to develop 50 plus more activities for Starlite, but if they're all of this quality, nobody is going to want them. Especially if they're not presented as alpha mini bits that don't have things in them. If they build up in terms of quality and gameplay, then they might be worth looking into. This one does not inspire hope, and I'm a little bit disappointed in it so far, especially with the names attached to it like NASA, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and University of California, Irvine. I expected more science. That's what NASA is supposed to do for us in the world at large. They're supposed to show us that the things that they do matter, that science is neat and fun and inspiring, and the universe is really cool. This shows us that Mars, at least, is dull. The craft are pretty neat. I will give them that, and maybe that's what NASA put in. I don't know. I kinda doubt it. But for the future installations of these mini adventures, I would like to see more science, more teaching us things about the universe, more showing us just how awesome the universe, and Mars as a piece of that universe, actually is. Unfortunately, they chose Mars, which ultimately isn't that great. But if they go into the terraforming and science route in that regard, it could be cool. I don't know. I'm kind of leery of the multiplayer online game that they're promising based on the activities presented here. So far, all I can recommend to anyone is, if you are in the 7 to 14-year-old age bracket, or you are a parent or guardian or whatever of someone that's in the 7 to 14-year-old age bracket, this might be worth dropping the $3 on. For, I don't know, the 20 minutes that it'll take anybody to get through this. Other than that, I wouldn't recommend it. You're going to be bored. You're going to wish that you had gone down to the corner market and bought a candy bar instead of this game. Which is pretty bad in my opinion. There is hope, theoretically. This, although it doesn't state it, is an extreme pre-alpha. It could be that they turn this whole thing around and give us impressive science that causes people to go, this is really neat. NASA needs funding. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is doing good things with its money. The University of California, Irvine is giving us cool new things like biosuits. So far, it's just, oh, they're dressed up a little in future-y looking things. And NASA is teaching us badly how to triangulate a position and what scientific notation is. So, I guess there you have it. We went through the whole thing, so I can't say that it's not an accurate representation. If you like what you see here, then sure, pick it up. Otherwise, I would say this and the things that follow it are probably not interesting. I will follow it personally because I hope they do good things. I would like to see, as I said, more science, better markings on things to indicate that this, for instance, is a horrible pre-alpha, almost non-product. So, now that I've, I think, sufficiently lambasted it, I'll see you guys next time.